Right, hey guys, this is Mothermind and welcome to a different type of video where today we will be doing a tier list. Now I've seen quite a few people do this on YouTube since lockdown and even before lockdown. I've seen people doing this, so I thought, might as well do it. Today we're going to be doing an NUFC players review so far of the 2019-20 season. So, the categories we've got to put them in are top player, so have they been a top player this season only? Have they been a key performer, which is slightly less than top player, so they've been key to it, but they've not been one of the best players. Exceed expectations, they've exceeded what's been expected of them. Average, just an average, fairly average season. Underperformed for what they were supposed to be like, and not good enough, needs to be sold. So we will do this in order of how it is, no just random order really. So, the first player is Jack Colback. Now, he hasn't played this season, but he's part of the squad, like the first team. This is the whole first team squad, apart from, I've discluded Jamie Sterry because he's never going to get a game. Jack Colback is Jack Colback. He's absolutely, I don't know what to say about him, honestly. He's the most pointless player that we've got. Like, he should have been loaned out. He didn't get loaned out. He was at Nottingham Forest, I think, last year. Wasn't a very good loan. He didn't do that well. But, I mean, it's just a strange one why we've still got him at the club, to be honest. I think he needs to go. So his contract is running out. He's been asked not to train, which thank God for that, because honestly, I don't think he's worth it. And he should have been gone a long time ago. So next one is Henri Saivet. Now, again, I think he's not good enough. I think he had that game last season against West Ham where he got that unbelievable free kick. That's the only good thing I've seen him do in a Newcastle shirt. Apart from that, he's not really made an appearance. He's just not good enough, to be honest, for the first team squad. Now the thing is with Saivet is that, he's not been given much of an opportunity, but realistically, what's the point of paying wages for, again, two midfielders who I necessarily, when they've played, Colback especially, I just don't like Colback, but Saivet, I just don't think he's good enough, especially if the takeover happens. We just need to get some money for him, get a fee in, and yeah, that can go into the finances. So the next player is DeAndre Yedlin. Now, Yedlin did score a goal this season against Bournemouth. It was an important goal, but in terms of Yedlin this season, I think he's just been pretty average. He's not underperformed really. He's been average, I'd say. Yedlin for me is, in terms of a wing back, very good at going forward. Defensively, not as fantastic. Actually, I'm going to go as far as to say he's underperformed because he lost his place to Javier Manquillo, who we'll get on later in the season, and Manquillo has been very good. He's been defensively, Manquillo's been quite solid, so Yedlin kind of lost his place in the side, and with Lazaro coming in as well, he lost his position really when he had a good start of the season, and like I said, he got that goal against Bournemouth, but he's not really, apart from that, been that fantastic this season. He's not really been what I expected of him. So for that reason, I'm going to leave him in underperformed. The next player is Joe Linton. Underperformed, you've got to say. 4 goals in all competitions, 1 goal in the Prem. Obviously, it's not good enough for 40 million, but I do believe there is a real player there. I believe that give him the time, slapping a number 9 shirt on a 23-year-old with his first time in the Premier League is very hard. And Rondon, who we had the season before, he was very experienced. Joe Linton's not really played much top flight football, to be honest, to then be sold for 40 million and expect us to get 20 goals out of him. It's a bit too much pressure for him. Obviously, I think he should be at least getting, like, he should have at least had about 10 goals. He just lacked confidence, you could see that. He did it well in a few games, like against Oxford and against Rochdale. I think he got a goal, and he was very happy that he got that goal. And then the first goal he scored was against Tottenham, and when he scored that goal, I thought, okay, this could be a decent player we've got out here, but it just never really worked for him. He had a few alright other games, again against West Ham away. So yeah, in terms of that, I'm going to leave him underperformed now. The next player is Emil Kraft. Where do I start? I think he's not good enough. I think in terms of a fullback, in terms of someone for Newcastle, he can't go forward. He can't really defend. He did all right in the Tottenham win that we got. Apart from that, when I think he played against Norwich. He had one of the easiest chances. He blazed over the bar. I remember. He's just not good enough, I don't think, for Newcastle, and I just don't think it's really worked out for him, and I think we need to sell him. Next player is Rob Elliott. Now, I can't really judge him because he's not made an appearance, so I'm just going to put him in average, because I would personally keep Rob Elliott at the club, so that we've got 3 very good keepers, just in case, as we've seen, Dubravka got injured. Unfortunately, Darlow Elliott couldn't play due to the COVID-19. They didn't get their opportunity, but I think if either of them played, I think they would have done a good job anyway. So I would personally renew Elliott's contract, depending on what happens with the takeover. Anyways, I'd renew it anyway, just because I think he's a very experienced goalkeeper, and out of the 3, he's the most experienced in the Premier League. So in terms of that, I'd keep him at the club. Next up is Yoshinori Muto. Now, this is someone who I don't think has had enough game time as they deserved. Under Rafa bought him for 9.5 million, 10 million. On a striker, you expect when you spend 10 million, your third most expensive forward, fourth or something like that. Yeah, Muto was worth 9.5 million, and the only other strikers I think that's been more expensive than him, correct me if I'm wrong, is Michael Owen, Alan Shearer, and Joe Linton. I think they're the only 3 strikers, and he's barely had game time. But Steve Bruce this season, again, he's not really played him that much, and I don't know why. I think he deserved more time. I'm going to put him in average anyway, because when he's played, he's done all right. He looked good in pre-season, I must say, at the tournament, and then he played in the Carabao Cup against Leicester. He scored a goal. To be fair, if you're scoring against Leicester, who are 3rd in the league, and on your only start of the season, you're doing something right, I think he just hasn't had the game time he deserves at Newcastle. I'd like to see him play regularly and see how many goals he could probably get. The next player is Valentino Lazaro. Don't know if I've said that right. I'd put him in average because we haven't seen a lot of him. Let's be honest, because he only came in January. He's done all right. Got a red card against Palace, not the greatest. Did quite well against West Brom in the FA Cup win. Scored a goal, obviously. One of the flukiest goals ever, but we'll not mention that. It's a goal's a goal at the end of the day. He's looked good going forward. I haven't seen enough of him though. I haven't seen enough of him to make a real judgment, so I'm going to leave him in average. Um, if it was me, would I sign him? I don't know. 20 million's a lot of money. It's the same fee as really Almiron. Do I think that he's a better player than Almiron? I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'd spend that on him, but he's obviously been average, like I said. The next player we're going to go for, let me just zoom this in slightly to make this a bit better. The next player is Sean Longstaff. Now Longstaff, he's been decent. He didn't have a great start to the season. Got that red. I think he got a red card early in the season, and since the red card, his head wasn't in the game, I don't think. And since that injury last year, he just wasn't fantastic. But he brought it back after the new year came round. He started to put in some performances in that Oxford game, so I'm going to put him in average. Because he is a young lad at the end of the day. We can't really slag him off, he's only been in the team one season and he's done really well, so I think average is fair enough for him this season. I think he was better last season, but he's a young lad, he's going to develop. He's not going to be perfect every single season. The next player is Matt Ritchie, someone whose season's been cut short due to injury. He's a very key player, Matt Ritchie. Normally when he plays, he brings passion, you can see it on the pitch whenever he plays. I can't give him anything higher than exceed expectations. I think he's been average. I can't give him higher than that because he's not played much football, but when he has played, he's been decent. He hasn't been fantastic, but that's just been down to his injury, unfortunately, so I'd like to see more of him in the season. Right, next is Carl Darlow. Average again. I think when Darlow's played in the cup games, did alright, against Leicester. That penalty shootout, he saved the penalty. He had a fairly good game anyway. When he played against Oxford and Rochdale, I think when the home games he was good. I think the away game at Oxford he made a few rash decisions on coming out and stuff like that, and some of his saves are unorthodox to say the least. I'll say that now, but as long as you keep the ball out the net, that's what a goalkeeper's job is. So he's been average. So I'm happy with Caldolo, to be honest. As one of our keeper options. So we'll just leave him in average. Next up is Fabian Schär. Steve Bruce hasn't really favoured Fabian Schär, to be honest. He's a very good player, but he's been decent when he's played this season, but he was much better last season. I don't think I can say he's underperformed because, again, he has scored the odd occasional goal for us. He scored against, I think he scored in a 1-1 draw against Watford. He got another goal. In another game that's been important, I think it was the Everton game, yeah. Well, it would have been important if we got a penalty that game, but anyway, leading on from that, I'm going to give Shaw average. This is starting to fill up. Nobody in here yet. So, like I said, he's been decent, but we've seen better of him. And that was the first season that he was here. Next up is Dwight Gale. Now, Dwight Gale hasn't played much, but when he's played, he's done alright. A few assists here and there, Played the Wolves game, he got injured unfortunately. When he played against Man United, I think it was on Boxing Day or around that time, I didn't think he was he had quite a few chances that game and he squandered them. Same with the Southampton one and the Burnley one just before the break. He had a lot of chances and he squandered them. He's not had a lot of game time though, so I can't say he's underperformed. I'd just say he's been average again because he's not really had much game time. Next up is Danny Rose. Again, I'm going to have to stick him in average. We haven't seen enough of Danny Rose yet. When he's played, he's been alright. I'm not the biggest fan of Danny Rose. Never really have been. If it was me, would I choose to have Richie wing back or him? Probably Richie, actually. And Willems I would have as well over Rose. So, to be honest, I'm not really fussed if we get Rose or not. He's there as an option. He's a solid left back, but I don't think. Well, it depends what formation we play. If we're playing 4 at the back, he might be a decent left back. If it's wing back, he's not a wing back. That's the problem. So it just depends how we're going to be playing again after all of this has happened when the Premier League resumes. Next up is Christian Atsu. I actually like Atsu as a off the bench player, as an impact sub, as a squad player. I think he's good. I think he's decent. He might be a championship type player, but he's there as an option, and I think he pitches in with the odd assist. He's a top assister this season, actually, with 3. I mean, he assisted Joe Linton's only goal. I mean, that should be a achievement in itself, to be honest. But I'm going to stick him in average, because he's been average. He has been average. So I'm going to stick him there. Next up is Paul Dummett. Now, I think Paul Dummett, when he played when we had the 3 centre backs, a 5 at the back formation, I think he was really good. I think I prefer him centre back than I do left back. I think he's just an all round better defender as a left back. We like our full backs to go forward sometimes, and I don't think he's the best going forward. So in terms of this, I think he's exceeded expectations. I think he's been very, very solid at the back for Newcastle. Next up is Matty Longstaff. Ooh, this is a tough one. I'm going to go exceeded expectations. I think Matty Longstaff's been absolutely fantastic. Come in from the academy, like his brother, Sean, in his first season done terrific. Probably even maybe done, if not better than Sean. He's got 2 goals, both against Man United. Scored his first goal to Gallagher, and what a goal that was, and what a moment. And I really think this kid has a bright future. I'd love to see him renew his contract and not go to Udinese or Milan. So for that, I'd like him to stay at Newcastle. So I'm going to leave him in the exceeded expectations. I don't think he's been a top player and key performer. I wouldn't say he's been key, but I'd say he's definitely exceeded what was expected of him when he was brought into the first team squad. Next up is Javier Manquillo. I think he's exceeded expectations, to be honest. I've been really surprised with him. You know, he was never my favourite under Rafa as fullback. He was never. I preferred Yedlin. I'd prefer Dummett. I'd prefer anybody to start over him. Probably even Jesus Gama. Well, that's a bit of a stretch, but Manquillo has been very solid this season. Like, when he's played defensively, he's been very sound, and that's something I wouldn't say often about him, because ever since we bought him, I thought the first 2 seasons, I thought, he's not really that good, is he? I don't really like him. But he started to grow on us, really, to be honest, and I think he's turned into a good player, a solid fullback for us. So I think he's exceeded what was expected of him, to be honest. I thought he was just going to have an average, or he was going to underperform, but he's had a good season, to be fair, so we're going to leave him in exceeded expectations. Next up, Isaac Hayden. Now, Isaac Hayden's not one of my favourite players, to be honest. I'm not overly fussed on him as a player. However, saying that, he is a decent player. I can't deny that. I can't, because of my opinion of me not liking him that much. I can't respect him not as a footballer. I think he had a terrible start to the season when I think he got a red card again, like Sean Longstaff did. But after the red card, he started putting in some very good performances, and then had some not so good, and then had some very good ones again. He's inconsistent, that's his problem. If he finds the consistency, Hayden, he could be a very, very, very good midfielder. He just needs to be consistent. That's the problem. I'm going to put him in. Do I think he's exceeded expectations? Slightly. But not really at the same time. I think he's been average. I think he could improve. He could be better. I think if his season didn't start the way it did, I would have put him in a key performer, exceeded expectations. But because of that, I think he's just been average. But in terms of that, he's had some very good performances this season. He just needs to find the consistency. Next up, Florian Lejeune. Now, hit by injury, come back, scored 2 goals off the bench against Everton, one being a bicycle kick. He did have a woeful game against Leicester at home. But, you know, in terms of... He's come back from injury. He's come back from a long-term injury again to his knee, unfortunately, you know. He's become very unlucky with his injuries, 2 ACL injuries in the space of 2 years, which has been absolutely horrific to watch and to witness. Lejeune, again, I'm not so sure if I can really say he's I can't say he's exceeded expectations. I think he's been average, to be honest, because of the injury. He hasn't had that much game time, unfortunately. That's the best I can give him, to be honest, because of his injuries. Let me know down in the comment section below, guys, if you agree or disagree so far with his tier list. Next up is Kieran Clark. Honestly, straight away, he's got to go into either key performer, exceed expectations. He's been absolutely brilliant this season at the back. He's always been a decent defender, Kieran Clark. Last season, he was decent. This season, he's raised expectations, to be honest. I'm going to put him in the exceeded expectations one. I think in terms of how he's played, I think he's done really well. I think he's been solid at the back. When it was him, I think it was Lascelles was injured at the time, so it was him, Dummett and Fernandez. They had a very good partnership together for some reason, and I think they done very, very well. In terms of what was expected. You know, he had some very good games, like against Chelsea at home. He played a very, very good game. Bournemouth at home scoring a goal. You know, scored another goal against West Ham away. He's come up with some crucial goals for Newcastle, and also he's just a solid all-round defender. So, actually, do you know what? I'm going to put him in key performer, actually, because when Lascelles was injured, he was probably our second best centre-back, I'd say. We'll get on to who I think the best centre-back was this season very, very shortly. But next up is Miguel Almiron. Now, obviously got his first few goals. Goals started flying in, and then kind of, you know, he got 2 goals in the league, got I think 5 in all competitions. He was starting to get the goals, starting to bring confidence. I think he's been a key performer. You know, he works very, very hard, Almiron, on the pitch. He gets back, he fights for the ball. His assists and goals, like, his stats aren't that fantastic for goals and assists for what he's creating, but he works very, very hard, and that's what Newcastle fans, that's what we like. We like a player who plays for the badge and will give everything every time they step out on the pitch, and that's what he does. Next up, Lascelles. Now, I didn't think Lascelles has been fantastic this season. But he has had some good games, I must say. I think I can't put him exceeded expectations, but I can't say he's just been average. So I'm gonna put him in key performer because he is the captain. To be, I'm not. I'm not sure. Like I'm not sure. To be honest, he's not. I'm only gonna give him average. You know, I don't think Lascelles is being what he was the last season and the season before. I just generally think he's been better than seasons. Like, yes, he got injured this season. He scored a goal against Wolves. I remember at home, but I just think he's been crucial in some games, and in other games he's just gone missing in the defence. It hasn't made a difference if he's there or not, and sometimes it's almost looked like that he hasn't actually given a crap when he's played for the badge. When he's played for Newcastle, like some games he's just not looked like he's been with it. But I must say, he is our captain. I do still like him, but I'd like him to find the consistency that he did the last 2 seasons. Next up is Jethro Willems. He is definitely exceeded expectations. When he came to the club, we expected him to be good, but as a wing back. But goals against Man City and Liverpool, the 2 top teams in the Premier League. I mean, that is something else. But both his weak foot as well. Like, that's impressive. Scored an absolute rocket against Liverpool. He's been very, very solid. He's had some very good performances. Unfortunately, did pick up that injury at home against Chelsea, where we won that vital game. And it's a shame because he's very good, and I want to see us sign him. We must sign Willems. 5 million or something like that is an absolute bargain for a player of his ability. So let's hopefully sign Jethro Willems. Next up, the best defender for us this season, Federico Fernandez. He has been a top player, I must say, this season. Federico Fernandez has been absolutely outstanding. I knew he was always a decent centre back at Swansea. He was unfortunately in the side that got relegated for them. He joins us on a free. He's been absolutely, honestly, he's been unbelievable at the back. Like, him, Clark and Dummett, them 3 together were actually really, really good, and I didn't expect it. And that was a strange thing. So I'm going to put Fernandez in top player because he's done really, really well. I think he's done more than exceed expectations. He's been key, but I think he's been one of the best players this season. Next up is Nabil Bentaleb. Now, we've not seen much of Bentaleb, so I'm going to put him in average, but I'd like to see us sign him on a permanent, to be honest, actually. I think he'd suit our midfield. Bentaleb, there is a real player in there, but we haven't unfortunately seen it because he's not had enough game time. So, for that reason, I think if we sign him, he could turn out to be a real player. So I'd try, if I was us, to get him on a permanent. Next up, Andy Carroll. Andy Carroll. He's been important for us. He's made some he's come on and made some, like, a big impact in some games, and he's been very important. I think in the dressing room he's a very key player. I think in the squad in general, I think he's just that type of player you want to have around the first team squad. I think Carroll, even though he's not got a goal this season, I think he's been key with the assists that he's got, like the assist at home to Southampton, the assist at Sheffield United. I think when he's played, he's done very, very well coming off the bench. Unfortunately, he's quite injury prone, but if you can keep Carroll fit, there is a good striker in there, and I'd like to see Andy Carroll play on a regular basis. Him and Joe Linton actually up front would be a very, very good partnership. I'd like to see that if we can keep him fit. Next up, Martin Dubravka. No question. No doubt about it. Top player. He's been the best player for us this season, honestly. If it wasn't for Dubravka, we would have been, at times, in the relegation zone. He's made the most saves this season. I think he's made over 110 saves or something like that. He doesn't get the recognition he deserves. The fact that we signed him for around 3 million, 2 million or something like that is unbelievable. He was playing low division football for like some Slovakian team, and now he's in the Premier League and he's been one of the best goalkeepers this season. That is something to achieve in 2.5 years. He's been fantastic since we signed him. He does make the odd mistake. Any keeper makes the odd mistake. Any player makes the odd mistake, but keepers obviously, their mistakes are seen as the clearest and they are the most obvious. Whereas if a defender or a midfielder makes a mistake, they brush by it almost. So Dubravka, I think he's been absolutely outstanding. And the fact that we got him on a new 5-year, 6-year deal, I think, is also a statement of intent of him wanting to stay at the club and just how much we do appreciate him. The second to last player is John Joe Shelvey. Shelvey has been a top player when he has played this season, I think. I think Shelvey, in terms of midfield, is our best midfielder. I think under Rafa, he overlooked Shelvey and he preferred Hayden and people like this. But honestly, I think Shelvey's been our best midfielder since the likes of Johan Cabaye. Honestly, I think Shelvey is a fantastic playmaker. He's had the passion this season. I've almost thought, should Shelvey be captain? Because we saw the passion that he was showing when he was playing some games, like the Man City game, the passion that he put out on that pitch, wearing the armband when Lascelles was injured. It was unbelievable how much it looked like he wanted to play and show what he's worth. Because Shelvey could play for England potentially. I think he's one of England's starting midfielders. I think. Okay, that may be a bit too far. Well, but there is real potential in there. I think Shelvey should be getting an England call-up sooner rather than later, rather than the likes of Harry Winks and Declan Rice. And last but not least on this playlist is Alan Saint-Maximin. Top player, absolutely brilliant. Like, what a signing he's been. His goals and assists is, again, we expected more. However, his skill on the ball, he's like a Ben Arthur, he's like, you know, that type of skill level. He's quick, he's just so skillful. He's so skillful that even he sometimes doesn't know where he's going with the ball. He almost trips over his own feet, but he gets the fans up whenever he plays. He drives the ball forward about 40 yards, something like that. It's unbelievable what skill he's got as a player, and he potentially could be a very, very, very good player in the next few years to come. He's only like, I think, 22 years old. 23 years. There's a lot of potential in there. I think the fact that we got him for around 15 million, I think that is an absolute steal, and I think he could really, really push on to be a good player. Goals against Sheffield United, he scored against Southampton. He also scored against Oxford United in the Cup, and I can't wait to see him back in action playing. Scoring goals I want to see him do, because he's unbelievable in my mind, and he's got so much potential at only 23. His skill is unbelievable. He just needs to get his goals and assists ratio up. So guys, that has been this tier list NUFC players review. This might be a long video. It's been going on for around 35 minutes or so. I apologise for that. If you have enjoyed this video though, guys, leave a like. This is a different type of video. I will be doing more tier lists like this. Subscribe if you haven't already, because I have seen lately that some of my views haven't subscribed to me. So you just click on that button next to my name, Muzamind, which says subscribe. Also turn the notification bell on so you don't miss a single video when it comes out. I will try to upload more for you guys. I do apologise for not uploading as much as I should have in the past 6 months, really. Just haven't been motivated. I've had things going on, which I may refer to in a later video. So guys, that is the end of this video. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.